says, Sab Ganga ki kripa. And then you ask the woman in Delhi or Bombay or Los Angeles or New York, walking out of her Mercedes into her mansion, how are you? And she says, oh, my knee, my hip, the kids, my husband, the supermarket didn't have my brand of toilet paper, whatever it is. It's always something. And if there's nothing, we make something. Because we've lost touch. We've lost touch with that which is inside of us. When I first had come to India, I had taken a picture. It was Diwali time. I had come in September. So at Diwali time, some of the young children in the ashram, they'd gotten new clothes for Diwali. So everybody was very, very excited wearing their new clothes. And I had a digital camera, which in 1996 was brand new, and everybody was very, very excited. So the kids wanted me to take their picture over and over and over again and continue to show it to them on the back of the camera. When I got back to America a couple of months later, I knew in my mind and my heart I was coming back. I hadn't yet broken the news to my parents. I think they suspected it. Mothers have a way of knowing what's going on with their children. But I hadn't yet come right out and said. And I just showed this photo to my mother. I didn't say anything. I just said, look at these kids. She looked at the picture for a moment. She went in the other room. She came back with another photograph. And the photos were almost identical in terms of the layout of the pictures. Each of them had about 9 or 10 little kids. The kids were ranging in age from about 6, 7, or 8. We tended to be grouped looking the same way. But the picture in my mother's hands was a picture of me and friends of mine when I was young. And we were at a birthday party. And you could see there was a swimming pool in the background, and there was a barbecue, and there was smoke coming out of the barbecue. And some of us were in bathing suits, other ones were in dresses. And we had these big smiles on our faces. And she held these two pictures next to each other. And she looked at them and she said, we gave you everything. But we couldn't put that light in your eyes. She said, go back to India. And that is what Indian culture has. The ability to put that light in the eyes of kids who have nothing. Kids for whom a pair of new clothes on Diwali is like they've won the lottery. One of the things that has struck me so much here is the feeling of abundance, the feeling of prosperity. If you say to anybody anything about being poor, they'll say, nee, hum gareeb to nahi hai, wo shayad gareeb hai, lekin hum log gareeb to nahi hai. And you could be talking to the poorest of the poor slum people. And it's not just a matter of ijjat. It's not their dignity. They're not trying to lie to you or convince you. It's that really, in their mind and in their hearts, chalo, they have less than some people. They have more than other people. But they're not poor. Because within them, they have that connection. And it's not a matter of religion. It's a matter of a connection to a spiritual culture that transcends these artificial lines between different religions and different sects. Because the spiritual culture of India is one. Regardless of where you're praying or which name or which form of God you're praying to, the spiritual culture of India is one. And the connection to that spiritual culture is what washes away that clay from the golden Buddha and keeps us living and aware of the gold and makes these people know कि हम तो गरीब तो नहीं हैं. Whereas in America, people who have so much are bitter, unhappy, they feel entitled to more, they're angry. There's a beautiful line in the prayers that we sing every morning at Parmarth that says, Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram kahiye, Jahi vidhi rakhe Ram, tahi vidhi rahiye. And that's Indian culture. Wherever God keeps you, whatever He gives you, that's His prasad. For some, it's going to be a hut. For some, it's going to be a mansion. For most people, it's going to be somewhere in between. But when you've got that feeling, ki jahi vidhi rakhe tahi vidhi rahiye, when you have that feeling inside you, the hut feels like a palace. And when you don't have that feeling within you, the palace feels like a hut. Literally. After I had been in India for about a year, I was back in America visiting, and I have a scientific background. I'm still a scientist at heart in many ways. And I conducted a little scientific experiment. The scientific experiment I conducted was, I found about 10 different people I knew personally, all of whom were at the very top of different levels of existence. So a billionaire CEO of one of the top companies, a well-known actress in Hollywood, a well-known singer, a model, a tenured professor at Stanford, somebody who played basketball with the LA Lakers. Different fields, but people who had reached the absolute top. If you're in business, you want to, of course, be a billionaire CEO of a big company. Whatever you're doing, I had found people at the top. And I made it a point on this trip to speak to every one of them. And I kept it very casual. I didn't want them to know I was doing an experiment. And in the midst of our conversation, I slipped in one question. And the question was, are you happy? And what I found is that every single one of them gave me one of two answers. Either they said, I will be happy when, fill in the blank, the mortgage is paid off, the kids grow up and move out of the house and go to college, I lose the 10 pounds I gained over the holidays, whatever. Or I would be happy if my husband would work less, the kids would only clean up their room, I only looked the way I looked before, we only lived in a better area of town, whatever it was. What they filled in the blank with differed, but the answers were identical. I will be happy when, or I would be happy if. Now these are people that the rest of the world is forsaking everything, their health, their family, their spiritual connection, to become. I mean, what else do you want if you're in business than to become a billionaire CEO? What else do you want if you're in Bollywood or Hollywood than to be a big actor or actress? If you're in academia, what would you love more than to be a tenured professor at Stanford? They had achieved it. But still there was something more. Just one more thing. And that's because that connection isn't there. As long as that connection isn't there, there will always be one more thing. And you are so blessed. You don't have to read Indian philosophy or go to a special class on the Bhagavad Gita or take your vacation time and come here or run after Swamiji when he's in America traveling at breakneck speed to catch his satsang. You're here in India. You have it within you. You have it in your blood. You have it in your veins. Even if you've dumped the clay on top of it, it's okay. The gold is still there. Really, the rest of the world is not so lucky. They have no choice but to try to learn it. Learn it from somewhere, because it's not part of the culture. But you all have it within you. We just have to wash away the clay and realize that it's there. I want to conclude on a lighter note, a serious note, but a lighter note. It's my favorite story. It's sort of a joke, actually. It's a man who goes to a doctor, and he says to the doctor, "Doctor, everything hurts." The doctor is very surprised because usually when people go, they have only one complaint. But this man says, "When I touch my head, it hurts. I touch my back, it hurts. I touch my stomach, it hurts. I touch my knee, it hurts." So the doctor's amazed. He runs every test, every scan. And at the end, he calls the man in and he says, "I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is there's nothing wrong with your body. Your head is great, your back is great, your stomach is great. Bad news is your finger's broken. And because your finger's broken, whatever you touch, it hurts." In our lives, so much of our lives hurt. But we blame it. We blame it on our employers, our employees, our in-laws, our spouses, our children, interest rates, inflation rates, mortgage rates, whatever it is, traffic. But the real problem is that our connection is broken. Now, it doesn't mean that being connected back to our culture, connected to God, connected to spirituality, it doesn't mean that when you have that, the world does what you want. It's not that somehow inflation rates and interest rates and your in-laws are going to start doing what you want them to do. But in the same way that this man, it's not that fixing his finger meant he was never going to have a headache or a stomach ache or a backache. Of course he would, he's human. But touching a head that hurts with a finger that's not broken hurts a lot less than touching a head that hurts with a finger that is broken. And in the same way, inflation rates and interest rates will continue to go up and down. Our families will continue to sometimes make us happy, sometimes not make us happy. Our employers and employees, it's the same thing. It'll go up and down. But going through life connected within ourself, connected to that source within ourself of peace, of joy. Going through life with that connection intact to the divine makes, wherever we go and whatever happens, it makes it hurt a lot less. We'll have the challenges, but that level of suffering, that level of despair won't be there. So if we can just reconnect ourselves, then whatever we're looking for, we'll realize it's within us. And it's always been with us. Thank you.